they're changing the structure of the bodies to keep people from illuminating. So that's very interesting. You see what I'm saying? So in actuality, they're trying to keep down this Kundalini spirit, because at this particular time, more than any other time, this is very key based on the actual, the Sekka. So, and the Sekka is the kingdom of Osiris, which was also, a lot of detailed information was given on it in, what's the name of this book? The name of the book is The Message of the Sphinx by Graham Hancock. They came out with the Orion Mystery in 1994, and then they came out with The Message of the Sphinx by Graham Hancock in 1996. So although they put out the information, a lot of that stuff is talking about right here at the millennium. Now the key here is, the mystery here is, we do know that 2000 was not the millennium. We know that 2001 is the millennium, but even if you calculate even further, the millennium in Africa didn't start until not only the summer solstice, but the apex of New Year only started when Sirius rises. Now I've even done some research with the guy Carl Carini, wrote a book on Dionysus. Carl Carini's book, and in that book there's a section in that book on Sirius, Icaros, or Archaeos, which is another name for Sirius and Dionysus, and they said that the whole thing gets going during the summer months. So even the Greeks and the Romans did not jump nothing until Sirius rose. Even the Romans. And in this book, he has a whole chapter dedicated to Sirius, and has something to do with the bees. That's the brother talking about. One of the brothers was talking about this, brother Charlie at one time, talking about the swarm, about these bees. And you even also, you get it, and you heard this stuff about the bees, whereas one bee by itself is dumb and stupid. But once it gets together in a swarm, it has intelligence. Right. And also, not only has intelligence, if you look at the doggone honeycomb, it's the same as the whole matrix thing. It looks just like, not the matrix, it looks just like the melanin matrix or the melanin molecule. Also, the turtle shell. The turtle shell is a melanin molecule. And which is interesting because we went to Turtle Cove, Montauk Point, Long Island. That's where they had the time chair and all that stuff. And me, Delbert, and the sister Kimberly that you met at the conference, and her boyfriend, we went up to Turtle Cove back here in February. We're going to try to go about 2 weeks from now. And they got this big rock that looks like a turtle, but I was looking at this, and I said, well, why did you, and Delbert had named her company before she hooked up with me, Turtle Cove. And I said, why did you do that? She said, the Spirit told me when I read Pyramids of Montauk, which is a must-read and a must-have. Pyramids of Montauk, Peter Moon, Preston Nichols, and the Black Sun. But anyway, I looked at it, and the reason why I asked it and stuff, because it was always on the side of my tapes and stuff, it was this little turtle, but I looked and I said, damn, there's the melanin molecule. So the bees had something to do with Dionysus, which is Osiris. You know, Dionysus, Shiva, all that's the same Osiris, or Osir. The key here is, you got the bee thing going, but it's interesting why when your boy Clive Barker did Candyman, it was all about the bees. I don't know if it was the bees in the first one too. I know the bees was in the first, but I know the bees was heavy in the second one. You see, but the key here is the first one started out in the projects. Second one was in New Orleans with the whole voodoo thing. You see, and then he supposed they put the honey all on him, and the bees supposed they killed him or whatever. But it's interesting here that they would do that, but in Candyman's whole concept is always revenge. So you got that same Osirian pattern, revenge or vengeance, you know. And in so many, even in each series, the revenge was mostly on white people. You see what I'm saying? It was centered around white folks and stuff. But it was interesting that they would put the bees in there. So that's Carl Carini's book, Osiris, Dionysus. It's a critical study. He's kind of real technical because he's German, you know. And but it was interesting because because what was happening was I was trying to really locate the time of Sirius rising. Now I've been dealing with Sirius for 10 years now. And in my lectures and all the details, I hit July 23rd, but then I got other books where they talk about July 20th, July 21st, and in so many words, the discrepancy, and I think why they have a problem pinpointing or holding it down is because the discrepancy is not calculated based on dates, but sometime in the summer solstice. So one of the keys here is when Sirius rises. I believe that the Egyptians understood it, because I don't think that they knew the actual, they could calculate the actual time, but it didn't fall on the same time every year. You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting, because we even got something like August 5th by Graham Hancock, not Graham Hancock, the other guy, Robert Bouval. So anyway, we know that July 23rd, July 20th, and all of that type of aspect is the actual new year based on the African. So in actuality, we just not starting into the doggone millennium. And that's when you get your boy, Bush comes out and talk about this whole stem cell thing. They've been talking about it for months, and now he's talking about the stem cell research. Then they came out a couple of days after the stem cell and said, well, we found out, because the whole key they didn't want to, they was arguing about human cloning. First of all, they've been cloning since 1945, but now they're trying to make it official. So the key here with the human cloning was, they say, well, we don't know if the human cloning is going to be safe. But then they came out on the news Monday and said that we found out that human cloning is safer in humans than it is for animals. Because there's more birth defects in animals. I'm saying, all these retarded ass people I see down here, you out of your doggone mind? Shit. It ain't no 1 out of 5, man. It might be, shoot, 4 out of 5. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. So they talking about birth defects. We just count just the damn issues niggas got. You know what I'm saying? But the key here is, now they're saying that, you know, all of a sudden they're saying that there's virtually no, in human cloning, there's virtually no signs of birth defects as it is in animals. You see. Now, about a month ago at the University of Georgia, they came out with 8 cloned cows. And so then they said, well, what do they need the cows for? They said, well, we need the cows because, they said, what are you going to do with those? They said they're going to be the prototypes for other cows. And first of all, they're just introducing all this stuff. They've been doing this stuff for years. And they said, well, what do we need it for? They said, we need these cows to produce meat. Well, common sense is going to tell you that every 5 minutes is a chicken place on every corner in America. You know that all meat, there's probably no such thing as real meat anymore. So they're just coming out with this particular thing, you see. So you got your whole stem cell thing going down. You know, so what it is, but it's interesting around the time that they started announcing the major stuff, because they're saying by the end of the year they got some group over in Europe that's going to do the whole, the human cloning thing. You see, but this stem cell thing got a lot to do with it. You see, it's got a lot to do with it because they've been dealing with this shit for years. You know, it's not just some aspect that they just started this thing. You know, but for some reason they're trying to make all this particular thing official. You see, right at this particular point right now. But one of the keys here is at this particular point is where a lot of stuff is getting going at this particular point right here. At this particular juncture from, let's say, July 23rd on in. So if these festivals started at the same time, and especially here in Detroit, because they probably hadn't neutralized Detroit. You see what I'm saying? And you know, you get the movie Fantastic World, I think the name of it is. Anybody saw that? It's called
cartoon.
It's a cartoon
with the blue people and
yeah, blue people.
Fantasy.
No, not Final Fantasy. Fantastic World. I think that's the name of it. It came out like in '73 or '72. In that movie, they talk about the Ohms, which was humans, which is supposed to be Ohms. You know, Ohm is an African word, East Indian word. And they talked about the Ohm, but they talked about 2 kind of Ohms. They talked about the domestic Ohms and the savage Ohms. Now, domestic, and so this is basically the same house nigga, field nigga mentality. You see, so they talk about the domestic Ohms and the savage Ohms. And they got these people ruling all over them and pulling the strings. And these savage Ohms and the domestic Ohms, they keep them away from the savage Ohms. You see, so this movie here is probably one of the prototypes of the spook is set by the door. You see, but anyway, maybe Detroit has a little more domestic Ohms, no, savage Ohms, which means that, you know, maybe Atlanta, they got only domestic Ohms left. You see what I'm saying? Which means maybe you are a little more grassroots. You see what I'm saying? Grassroots, whereas they done killed off the savage homes in Atlanta. You see, so maybe the reason why you having all these festivals, we haven't had anything. You know, hell, concerts is doggone near $100. You know, so we haven't had any of these festivals, and we used to have them all. And I remember in the 90s, I used to work the Miller Bill's still around. I used to work one right there in the projects where they used to have all these groups come. And for some reason, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, they haven't had any free concerts. You see what I'm saying? They had one, the P-Funk All-Stars, but without George Clinton. So I said, okay, now y'all got this domestic model going on right here. You see, but anyway, the key here is that they're still doing these particular festivals because, see, in Indianapolis, they had the big Black Expo. And they said that's where it started. They got it going on different places, I think in Cleveland and all that. But Atlanta, the Black Expo hasn't been here since, I think, the middle of the 90s. That means because they done domesticated, you see, they homes or they Negroes or whatever, and they done killed off the so-called, quote-unquote, savage homes. You see. So maybe they got us still a little bit of domestic homes running around here, and they got to pacify, you see, the people, which is very key because speaking of that whole killing off thing, you know, they killed off so many people. Now here it is. Now you got a conservative people, and mainly the conservative government tells the people what they say. The first thing they do is say we got to stop all these illegal immigrants, or these illegal aliens. Excuse me. These illegal aliens. But isn't it funny that the same conservative people that talk all that junk about they taking money from America and we gotta change the value, we gotta get back to the old America, is the ones that saying that they gonna give these doggone so-called quote-unquote illegal aliens a voucher or some type of voucher or some type of permit to work. Now wait a minute, here's the man I see here is they kick your butt from night and they breaking the law. It's already down to your automobiles and your doggone seatbelts or whatever type thing they can catch you with. And you can break the law and you go under the jailhouse. And here's a man that's an illegal quote-unquote alien breaking the quote-unquote law. And he gets a permit for breaking the law. You see, it's not like, you know, America just open the borders and let these people in and then say, okay, we're going to give you a permit. These people, they find these people that are already delinquent in America's eyes. But they're giving them a permit, the conservative government. Why is that? That is because they done killed off all the doggone domestic, the savage homes, or what they call the so-called workforce homes. And they got to give these people a voucher or America will fall, because that's letting you know how many doggone grassroots people, the people that used to do all the work before those menial jobs, they done killed them off. Now, ain't this something this is the psychological aspect of it. I'm not stupid. They just got rid of welfare. That means they need people that come on now, he can't train that many Negroes. Come on, man, it costs money to train somebody. Now, let's get off this bullshit now. You know what I'm saying now? All of a sudden, they done got rid of welfare. Okay? They got rid of welfare. But on the other hand, ain't no black people around to work no jobs. Where are all these welfare people going? But they got to give a doggone voucher to the doggone Mexicans. You see? That's because they done killed off all of them. And this is more and more evidence that the people are gone. You see what I'm saying? Like in Atlanta, no more projects, about 2 or 3. But I'm just saying, and this is going back. Why do they got to give a permit to Mexicans? And not only that, it's not like the government is giving a permit to Mexicans on the East Coast. Most of those people have been established in the West Coast. Most of those people have been established for years. They call them damn Chicanos or whatever. They're saying that they got to give a permit for Mexicans if that's all working. Now, there's another thing going on, because we used to buy this bull. We see the Koreans move in the community and hire only their people, and we used to think, oh, well, it's a family business. They only hire their people. Now, who's cooking them goddamn chicken wings? The Mexicans. You see this thing around the country? Mm-hmm. You go to the damn Charlie Chan, and it be the Mexican in the back cooking Chinese food. But yet they didn't hire the niggas when they was taking the money out of your community, and we bought that bullshit about, oh, it's a family, it's a family business. But now the Mexicans is up in here, and who the Asians is hiring is full of Mexicans cooking Chinese food. You see, but we let them go without firebombing their ass for years, think, oh, it's a family thing. So we talking about this major takeover that's going on in here. Bush, Mr. Conservative, is actually giving the permit for these people to work. This is a contradiction. You say that we trying to curb the law, and they had this whole law enforcement to stop criminals in America, quote unquote. And here's some people that literally, when you find them, they quote unquote criminals under the eyes of America. We know it's their country. We know all kinds of things like this. But the point I'm trying to make here is,